Welcome back to another gripping and thrilling story. Before we dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe for more captivating tales. They called me the quiet one, the mouse who married above her station. If they only knew what I was capable of, they might have chosen their words more carefully. My name is Keisha, and I learned early that silence is not submission, it's strategy. When I married Damon Blackwell, heir to Blackwell Logistics, his family saw me as an intruder in their carefully constructed world of wealth and influence. His sister Jasmine made it her mission to remind me daily that I didn't belong. "She's nothing but a gold digger," Jasmine would whisper to anyone who'd listen, her voice dripping with disdain. Poor little Keisha, thinking she can fool us all. I let her talk. I let them all talk. Damon's family had built their empire from nothing, starting with a single delivery truck in the heart of Lagos 3 decades ago. Now Blackwell Logistics controlled shipping routes across West Africa, with tentacles reaching into Europe and the Americas. The family compound in Victoria Island stood as testament to their success. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and enough luxury to make kings jealous. But I wasn't interested in their money. I was interested in their secrets. The morning Damon presented me with the share certificates, I felt the shift in the room's energy. 15% of Blackwell Logistics, signed over to my name with a flourish of his gold pen. His eyes sparkled with love and pride as he placed the documents in my hands. "Your family now," he said, kissing my forehead. "Really family." Jasmine's face turned ashen. She gripped her wine glass so tightly I thought it might shatter. "Damon, surely you don't mean—" "I mean exactly what I said." His voice carried the authority of a man who'd never been questioned. "Keisha is my wife. These shares represent my trust in her judgment and my commitment to our future." The silence that followed was deafening. Jasmine's husband, Marcus, shifted uncomfortably in his chair. The other family members exchanged glances loaded with meaning I was only beginning to understand. "She'll drain the company dry," Jasmine muttered, not caring that I could hear. "Mark my words, this little mouse will be the death of us all." I smiled politely and thanked Damon for his generosity. But inside, something darker was taking root. They wanted to see me as a threat. I would show them what a real threat looked like. That night, I began my education. While Damon slept, I pored over every document in his study: financial reports, legal contracts, board meeting minutes. I absorbed it all like a sponge. The company's structure, its vulnerabilities, its hidden dealings. I learned about shell companies and offshore accounts, about deals that existed only on paper and shipments that never reached their destinations. I discovered that Blackwell Logistics wasn't just a shipping company. It was a carefully orchestrated machine designed to move more than cargo. Week after week, I studied. I memorized revenue streams, tax loopholes, and the intricate web of relationships that kept the family's empire intact. I learned the names of every board member, every major client, every political contact who smoothed their path to prosperity. Jasmine continued her campaign of subtle cruelty. She'd accidentally spill wine on my dresses at family dinners. She'd introduce me to business associates as Damon's little wife with a condescending smile. She'd make jokes about my education, my background, my inability to understand complex business matters. I endured it all with grace, filing away each insult like evidence in a case I was building. The formal company dinner arrived 6 months after my marriage. The venue was the Eco Hotel's presidential suite, filled with Lagos's business elite. I wore a simple black dress, elegant but understated, exactly what they expected from quiet little Keisha. The men discussed mergers and acquisitions while their wives gossiped about society scandals. I sat beside Damon, my hands folded in my lap, my expression serene. To everyone watching, I was the perfect picture of a woman who belonged in the background. Then Jasmine made her move. "Gentlemen," she announced, raising her glass of champagne, "I'd like to propose a toast to my brother's generosity. He's given 15% of our company to someone who probably thinks logistics is about organizing closets." Laughter rippled through the room. Damon's face darkened, but before he could respond, I stood. Actually, I said, my voice carrying clearly across the room. I think logistics is about understanding that your Q3 shipping manifests don't match your declared cargo values, creating a discrepancy of approximately 47 million naira that somehow disappeared from your books. The laughter died instantly. I also think, I continued, my smile never wavering, that logistics involves knowing why your subsidiary in Benin Republic shows profits that would make it more valuable than the parent company, despite handling a fraction of the actual shipments. Jasmine's face had gone pale. The board members were leaning forward, suddenly very interested in what the quiet wife had to say. But most importantly, I concluded, I think logistics is about understanding that when you move certain types of cargo through certain ports, you need to be very careful about your documentation. One small mistake, and the whole operation could collapse. I sat back down, my hands returning to their folded position. The room was silent except for the distant sound of Lagos traffic far below. Dr. Adesanya, the company's oldest board member, cleared his throat. Mrs. Blackwell, those are very specific observations. Have you been reviewing our financial reports? I've been learning about my investment, I replied simply. 15% is a significant stake. I wanted to understand exactly what I was becoming part of. The conversation that followed was unlike any I'd witnessed in that family. Suddenly, the men were asking my opinion on expansion strategies, port negotiations, and regulatory compliance. Jasmine sat frozen, her earlier confidence evaporating like morning mist. But I wasn't finished. I was just getting started. 3 days later, I walked into the law offices of Adebayo and Associates with a plan that would have impressed Machiavelli himself. Mrs. Blackwell, the senior partner, greeted me. How can we assist you today? I want to transfer my shares, I said, placing the documents on his mahogany desk. All 15% to my sister-in-law, Jasmine Blackwell Ogundipe. His eyebrows shot up. That's quite generous. Are you certain? Absolutely. But I want specific conditions attached to the transfer. I spent the next hour outlining my requirements. Legal language that would make the transfer legitimate, but include clauses that would freeze any actual control. Jasmine would own the shares on paper, but she couldn't vote with them, couldn't sell them, couldn't use them as collateral. They would be hers in name only, locked behind legal barriers that only I could lift. This is unusual, the lawyer admitted, but perfectly legal. May I ask why? I smiled. Let's call it a lesson in humility. The next morning, I presented Jasmine with the transfer documents over breakfast. Her confusion was delicious to watch. I don't understand, she said, staring at the papers. You're giving me your shares? You were right, I said, buttering my toast with deliberate care. I don't belong in this world. I'm just a simple girl who married above her station. These shares should go to someone who truly understands the business. Jasmine's eyes gleamed with triumph. Well, this is unexpected, but probably for the best. The company needs experienced hands guiding it. I couldn't agree more. She signed the documents immediately, her pen strokes bold and confident. I watched her doom herself with her own greed, and it was beautiful. For 3 weeks, Jasmine basked in her newfound power. She attended board meetings with renewed arrogance, spoke of her shares in conversations, and made plans for the influence she would now wield. She even started talking about restructuring the company, pushing Damon aside to claim her rightful place as a major shareholder. Then she tried to exercise her rights. What do you mean I can't vote? She demanded, storming into the family dining room where I was having lunch with Damon. These are my shares now. Technically, yes, I replied, not looking up from my salad. But if you'd read the fine print, you'd understand that ownership and control are two different things. Damon frowned. What's she talking about, Keisha? Your sister owns 15% of the company, I explained patiently. But those shares are held in a legal trust that prevents her from using them in any meaningful way. She can't vote, can't sell, can't even use them as collateral for a loan. The realization hit Jasmine like a physical blow. You trapped me. I gave you exactly what you wanted, I corrected. You said I didn't deserve those shares, that they should go to someone who understood the business. Now you have them. Congratulations. Damon was staring at me with something approaching awe. How long have you been planning this? Since the night you gave me those shares, I admitted. I knew your sister would never accept me as an equal. So I decided to give her what she thought she wanted while keeping what I actually needed. Which is, I stood up, smoothing my dress. Control, Damon. I may not own those shares anymore, but I control their fate. Jasmine can't move against me without destroying her own position. She's trapped by her own greed. But that wasn't the real trap. The real trap was what I discovered in those late-night study sessions, buried deep in the company's financial records. Blackwell Logistics wasn't just moving legitimate cargo. They were laundering money for some very dangerous people, and the evidence was scattered throughout their books like breadcrumbs. There's something else, I said, my voice dropping to a whisper. Something I found in the archives that I think you should know about. Damon's face went pale. What kind of something? The kind that could destroy this family if it fell into the wrong hands. The kind that makes my little share manipulation look like child's play. I reached into my purse and withdrew a USB drive. Bank records, shipping manifests, communication logs, everything documenting your family's side businesses. I've been collecting evidence for months, just in case I needed insurance. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. Jasmine had collapsed into a chair, her earlier anger replaced by something approaching terror. What do you want? Damon asked finally. Respect, I said simply. From your sister, from your family, from everyone who thought they could dismiss me as just another pretty face. I want them to understand that the quiet wife they underestimated has more power than they ever imagined. I walked to the window, looking out at the Lagos skyline. I could bring down this entire empire with a single phone call, but I won't because I love you. Instead, I'll keep your secret safe and your family will learn to treat me with the respect I deserve. Damon moved behind me, his hands resting on my shoulders. I'm sorry, he whispered. I should have protected you from the beginning. You couldn't protect me from something you didn't see coming, I replied. But now you know. The quiet wife you married isn't as helpless as she appears. In fact, she might be the most dangerous person in this room. I turned to face him, my expression soft but my eyes hard as steel. I didn't marry you for your money, Damon. I married you because I saw potential in what we could build together. But I also married you because I knew that in this world, the only way to survive is to be smarter than everyone else. And you are. I smiled, the expression cold and calculating. I'm the woman who convinced your sister to sign away her own power, who documented your family's crimes, and who now controls the fate of an empire worth hundreds of millions. What do you think? The transformation was complete. I was no longer the quiet wife they'd all underestimated. I was the woman who held their futures in her hands, who could destroy them with a whisper or protect them with her silence. And they would never, ever underestimate me again. If this story shook you, there's more where that came from. For unforgettable drama, betrayal, and real-life twists, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.